If you've ever worked under a bad leader, it's probably been one of your more painful experiences. It's actually pretty common, especially if you've worked in different organizations and all kinds of different leaders. The saddest thing about a struggling leader is that it always affects more than just you. It involves the whole team. What were the issues that you noticed? There may have been no vision, and figuring out what you were expected to do probably took a lot of work. Maybe you felt suffocated or underappreciated. Maybe they expected more from you than what you were willing to give. Maybe you didn't get along, or maybe you just got in a lot of fights with your leader. Think about it. What did it actually look like for you, and what specifically do you remember? It's extremely difficult to work well with the wrong leader. Now take a minute and think about the leadership that you offer in your home. Is it possible that your wife feels exactly like you did, or do your kids feel like you did? One of the most significant contributing factors to poor leadership is the lack of noticing. A lot of times, everyone knows there's a problem except the leader. This is probably because the leader is either closed off or opposed to critical feedback or blinded by empty compliments. You already know how frustrating it is to work with a terrible leader, but have you considered how you were perceived as the leader in your home? Are you repeating the same mistakes that you've seen in the past? Are you leading your family well, or are you struggling? And how do you know if you're getting it right? In 1 Corinthians 11, Paul wraps up a lengthy passage full of instructions by simply saying, "Follow me as I follow Christ." He's saying, if you don't quite understand how to do this, do what I do, because everything I do is based on what Jesus did. Honestly, I never really liked how prideful or how simple this sounds, but lately I think he was really onto something. How often do you pay attention to Jesus? Do you know about what he did or how he did it? Paul was so confident in his leadership because the person who taught him about leadership was Jesus. Paul knew that all of his decisions were based on what Jesus taught, and he was confident. So it didn't bother him to tell people to make decisions like he did because his choices were based on Jesus. Are yours? What would it take for you to get there? There's a lot to this whole leadership conversation, but this is the best place to start. Be like Jesus. Not in a bumper sticker way, but in an honest, life-transforming, and meaningful way. Read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Then read them again. Pay attention to what Jesus says and what he does. Put the work in. Take the time to get to know and understand Jesus. If you're doing something he wouldn't do, stop. If you're not doing something he would do, start doing it immediately. Lead your family like Jesus would. Then they can indeed follow you as you follow Christ. If you're not like Jesus, you're not worth following.